welcome back to Overexerted, a Lorcana podcast brought to you by three tired guys, dads?
Are you a dad, James?
I am not.
Ah, well, I can send you one if you'd like.
Yeah, so today we are
He says with
joined...
his number one dad mug for all our listeners. The irony of me volunteering to ship off my child while holding a number one dad mug is palpable.
Heath gives me trouble for trying to shill my cards. Meanwhile, he's out here shilling children.
my children. Children, I only have one. It just feels like more than one. Whew.
I know the feeling, but I do have two, so...
Once again, I have managed to derail the intro. Excellent.
I'm your host, Benny. With me, as always, is...
Heath, and you're on Zoom, so by the way, you're pointing in the wrong direction.
It's right for him, right? Who knows?
I was going to say, I see myself on the left. I'll just go like this.
We are all Usher. Has anyone ever seen the Usher video where they're in the 9 squares and he's thinks he's the middle square, so he's pointing up and pointing down and ha, and meanwhile he's in the bottom left. It's like, dude, you went out the start of the show, sorry.
I'm old. I'm not hip, so no. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Alright, so we got Benny, we got Heath, but most importantly of all,
we've got one of our newest intermittent members. James.
I'm James, otherwise known as Dan Regal, the one of the former hosts of the Citizens of Lorcana podcast.
On hiatus, not former. Not former.
Former for now, yeah.
We're only borrowing you.
Yes.
That's right. We've called all the premium headhunters and we've poached one of the top.
Oh my goodness,
podcasters.
This draft pick is out of this world.
Yeah,
James, it is such a pleasure to have you.
You should give me a big head here. Jeez.
You wouldn't believe what we had to trade to move up in the draft here.
Oh my goodness. All of Benny's enchanteds.
I was going to say, Did I get that bolt at least?
They're gone. They're all gone.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I actually feel really bad because I sent one to a guy in Alberta and I traded him for a PSA Aladdin enchanted. And he messaged me. He's like, "Hey man, just wanted to let you know it hasn't shown up yet." And I was like, "Oh, well, I sent it with tracking." And then I look and it's like it got to Edmonton and then just sat there.
And then they just gave up.
And
I also give up when I go to Edmonton, so I don't know if you know Edmonton at all, James, but you shouldn't.
Canada jokes.
you shouldn't know Edmonton. What would be a comparable in the States? Think of
Fresno?
Yes, that is a great comparable, actually.
Oh, but I like Fresno.
Just to be clear, if we have anybody that listens from Edmonton, I love you all dearly. Amazing people out there, but I think you'd also agree that... Anyways.
All right, so at some point, are we going to talk Lorcana?
No!
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Have you not listened to the show at all? I derail the conversation every time. I literally put in the show notes. Let's keep it to 5 minutes. Intros. Welcome, James. Yeah. Why don't we talk some Lorcana?
James is going to be one of our other intermittent co-hosts whenever he wants to join us.
Whenever they want me, I'll be here whenever possible. Whenever they can record on a day I'm available, I'll be here.
Don't say that. I would say that's on the day I'm available. Because I'm going to say, you say whenever they want me. We want you always, James. So when you don't appear, I don't want anybody talking smack like, oh, they wouldn't let James on this week. It's like...
Basically,
no.
Whenever their recording days match up with a day I'm available,
I'll
most likely be here, and that may end up being every single week. We'll just have to see.
Perfect. Every given Sunday.
Perfect.
The toughest part for me is going to be being a football fan and watching my team in the background on silent while I'm trying to record with you guys. Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay, here we go.
You know, we live in a beautiful modern society of recording.
That's
stuff,
true.
Right?
That's true.
You can watch it after. Just don't get on Twitter at all.
After?
Yeah. Not much happened in Lorcana this week, eh? It was a pretty quiet week. Nothing much to talk about. How are we going to fill the time?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Calm. It was calm around here.
Yeah.
Nobody losing their mind.
No, certainly no one losing their mind. Not me with my 20 foil Fortispheres, by the way.
Not me with my local buddy who plays Sapphire Steel. He had no problem.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure he was very happy.
Oh man,
He did not have to change decks 3 times.
Speaking of which, I don't know if you got the inside track. How's Jared feeling about Sapphire being dissected?
I don't know. I think he's okay because he's a little weird because he loves Sapphire, but he also doesn't want to play meta, like straight up meta decks.
Good
So
man.
it's like those things were just like going like this. It's like, oh wait, I love Sapphire, but now it's like the dominant, overpowered, no one can beat it deck, and it's like, what am I gonna do?
I loved it because it wasn't the overpowered dominant, green steel or whatever.
Yeah.
I knew there was a reason I liked that guy.
Good.
So in case anyone's been in a cave for the last week and no radio signal whatsoever, what are we talking about? What happened this week?
Hiram was banned. Fortisphere was banned.
Yeah. It's
But the thing I don't get is like they could have done that with Bucky a long time ago.
Can we just retcon ban Bucky, by the way?
I at some point I hope they do.
Yeah.
But now that they've eroded it and we have a version out there and probably is getting printed whenever they do a newer printing.
Yeah.
For like say Brazil, they do a new printing for Brazil when it gets in there in a few months. If they do that, then you have the fixed version.
Yeah.
So
did we clarify whether Japan got 3-cost Bucky?
I haven't actually seen it, but I think it probably did since it was printed new.
I would assume so, but it would be really funny if they didn't. If they had like pre-errata Bucky for a couple months.
Let's clarify the Bucky errata because a lot of people always, especially newer players, don't understand why it was eroded instead of banned. And you asking about Japan was exactly the reason. They knew they were going to be going into Australia and Japan and other regions over the next year or so.
Yeah.
They wanted 204 cards in the set and they wanted to be able to print it. And they didn't want to print a banned card. So they just eroded it to death, basically. So it was effectively banned, but they could still print it as a live card.
Which I suppose was good intentions at the time, but that's kind of moot now because I'm pretty sure Ursula's has not been printed yet in Japan, right? It's only been the 2 sets, correct?
Yeah, it's actually, and Inklands is like a month away, maybe less.
Yeah. So Hiram's already out, but yeah, we've got Ursula's. It was Ursula's that Fortisphere was in, right?
I think so.
I believe so. Anyways, it was in either Inklands or Ursula's because it definitely wasn't in.
Yeah,
in
it wasn't in
Floodborne.
too.
So
and Hiram is actually still legal in Japan right now.
Yeah, yeah. They mentioned that, right? There was a specific statement that the bans aren't applicable.
Yeah, the people running Japan and China have their own rules, and they said that for now Hiram is still allowed.
Which makes sense, but also there's this like axe hanging over.
Yeah.
Like,
how long do I get to
enjoy it while it lasts, because at some point in the not too distant future, it is also getting the axe.
There was another content creation team. I was just trying to find them here. WCTCG Scotland.
Okay.
And they tested pre-errata Bucky versus the current meta of Sapphire Steel.
Okay.
And they won 2-1 with old school Bucky, but the games were actually decently close. So I think the solution,
just to clarify, Benny's really on the soapbox about Bucky coming back.
Yes, I know. Yes. We got one of the original Bucky stands here.
Yeah. Oh.
And you know what? I didn't even ever play it. That's the crazy thing. I just don't like bans and erratas. Just let the people play, man.
So I gotta give a shout out to one of my locals. At Aegis Games in Bellingham, we've got the family that I think I've spoken about before, mother and son. Morgan's son's 15 years old. I don't know when his birthday is, so might be older than that now, but thereabouts. Love Bucky. Absolutely adored Bucky. played the heck out of him, crushed when it was errated.
Mm-hmm.
For Christmas, his mom, Jessica, got a custom mat made for him of basically all of the major Disney villains, but with Bucky superimposed on their faces. So it was just all Bucky's. I think it was just a regular Bucky. I'm like, was it Laser Eye Bucky? No, I think it was just a regular Bucky. Anyways, regardless, it was just like basically just reinforcing the ultimate villain is Bucky. So I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
Or Bucky.
I gotta get a picture of that to try and put on the screen, edit that in. I'll reach out to them because that's such an amazing piece. So let's get back to the ban. How are we feeling about that? Do we feel like they made the right choice? Let's throw it to James first. Do you feel like they made the right choice? Would you have done things differently, both in terms of what they banned, what they didn't ban, and kind of the rollout of it? How are you feeling about it?
So I've been listening and reading to a lot of people talk about it, and this is my first ban because, of course, I've not played TCGs before this.
Yeah.
I had
Insert first time meme.
Yeah, I had no real issue with how they handled it. It was a bit of a shock. I had a little window up in my laptop at work watching Wonderland stream on at the time, and all of a sudden, like they bring up the page and it's like, is this real? And it was just like that bit of a moment where you're like, is this real?
I got so many texts like, is this actually happening?
Yeah, and so I like what they did. They announced the ban. They said, hey, we're going to have letters explaining why the ban, and then we're going to have a Q&A, all in the same day. And I think that whether or not the reasons were enough for you, I think it was a good thing that they took the time out to do all of those things.
Yeah.
I think that was a good move. As for the ban itself, I think the Hiram ban is a good thing. That was definitely the enabler for the deck that made it made all the other pieces work so well. And that is one thing they pointed to. It wasn't that he could draw two cards. It was that it made everything about the deck so consistent.
Yeah.
That there was, and in trading card games, it's the bane of our existence, the inconsistency, the variation of what's coming off the top of the deck. And if you don't care about what's coming off the top of the deck because you've looked through 5 cards and then you've drawn 2 cards and then you've drawn 2 more and then you've gained 2 on, all on the same turn, then it's just that enabling of the deck was just a one step too far with some of the new cards that came in. Which is what a lot of people say is, why didn't you ban the new cards then? It's like, well, because it's new. I mean...
Yeah. You got to play with this toy for a while. Let's put it in the box.
Yeah. And I can see the new Tamatoa being banned down the road, too, because that thing is so powerful.
And that's just with the items we have now, let alone what comes in the future.
And if some broken item in the future, you thought Dime was bad, but look what they can do coming up. And it doesn't even enter the board exerted.
I know.
That's the biggest thing. I feel like they needed to change it to just say enters the board exerted.
I mean,
that's it.
Carpet Bag was an uninkable card, and it one less, and also, entered exerted. So it's like, what are you guys doing? You get to get 2 free cards and get to play as many free cards as you have, as long as this thing lives.
Yep. And does not die to Brawl. Does not die to Medusa.
As for the Fortisphere, I can understand that they wanted to kick Fire Steel in the legs a little bit, and that was basically the easiest target, I think. A lot of people are pointing out that there's plenty of draw on Steel when they commented that it went against Steel's identity. Now it doesn't draw and then discard like most Steel cards do when they draw.
Yeah.
But still, there are Steel cards that do just straight draw.
That was the one thing about the statement that got me, was the whole not aligned with Steel piece. It's like, sure, but that felt like a weak justification. I feel like if you just say, hey, we already hit Sapphire, we don't want to really kneecap them with doing Popsicle, so the next best option is get rid of Fortisphere.
Which is first Popsicle and Steel. I mean, it's
Yeah.
But like first and foremost, if you get rid of Popsicle, there's a Nick Wild card that says bring back Popsicle. So now that card's now useless.
Oh,
so now you've made
no.
3 different cards. It was a good card,
Look, if
but
you're
I'm
gonna
like,
It was
Well,
played for a while in that meta, right? It was played
Yeah.
in that meta, but like,
originally,
but
yeah,
but it's like you're essentially just getting rid of 3 cards in Sapphire if you get rid of Popsicle and Hiram. So,
sure.
I mean, no one's playing them anymore, but
I think it's just that they didn't want to overly target Sapphire, like Ruby Sapphire, I think specifically, but sure, any Sapphire deck, right? If you get rid of both Popsicle and Hiram, then the Sapphire players are really up in arms saying, why did you only target us? Now it's just the Sapphire Steel players that are up in arms saying, why did you only target us?
yeah. And I mean, everyone's, crying about Diablo here, but I mean, at least the shift Diablo's not inkable like Tamatoa is.
Yeah. I mean, just that everything deals with Diablo. Yes, Diablo can run away with a game, but everything deals with it. I think the issue was, like, Hiram, for example, he's already gotten great value by the time he hits the board, and it's really tough to get rid of outside of Ruby. That's 6 willpower.
Rawl and Sisu, and...
Like, when Zeus is in the game, why you gotta give him 6? Should have been 5, but... again, that kind of goes back to errata v bans. Like, I think erratas make things too clunky. Like, it's too like, oh yeah, what was the change again? Because I've got the original card. I was like, what's it? It's 5 willpower, and it only draws on quest now, and,
Yeah.
It's like...
And remember, we had that, for a day, we had that version show up.
Oh yeah, the one card? Yeah.
There was a 1-card draw on play and quest. So that they were testing different versions of it because they knew it was a problem way back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a while ago now, eh?
Yeah, that was like a year ago.
Yeah. I remember people were panicking then. Not my Hiram. It's like, well, guess what?
Guess what? He doesn't exist.
I did that today, by the way. Yesterday I was organizing all of my cards and unsleeved my Hirams and Fortispheres. I wasn't playing
burn them. No,
but they're sleeved up, ready to go in case I ever do want to build a deck. So
at some point, I imagine, and this might be way down the road, but at some point, I imagine they're going to look at formats. And there's going to be, the equivalent of, in Magic, a standard format, which is kind of the most current stuff. There's going to be eternal formats, call it Vintage and Legacy in Magic. And so if that comes to pass, I imagine at that point, they don't ban it for that, because Vintage formats are typically expected to be more powerful. So don't burn them just yet.
And we know that they're kind of actually planning for that already. You can see it in the starter decks.
Okay.
Because in the starter decks, 1 through 4 have cards for 1, and then 1 and 2, and then 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. When 5 came out, it only had cards from set 5. And now the 6 has 5 and 6 in it.
That's quite the deduction.
So basically, they have, when we hit set 9, there are only set 9 cards in there. That means that they have planned ahead to have 1-year sets of removing from the standard block or whatever they're going to call it. And it's just pre-planning to be able to remove 1 year at a time.
Yeah. Man, I don't know if I hope it doesn't. I was about to say I hope it doesn't, but maybe that's too harsh. But I was going to say I hope it doesn't get as convoluted as Magic, because at Magic, at one point they had block formats, which was basically the year. They had Standard, which was 2 years worth of sets. They had Modern, which was all the way up to like 2/3 the way through the history of Magic. And then they had the Legacy formats, which were 2 different variations, one with bans, one with restrictions of all of the sets. It's like so many formats. And now they've got Commander, and they've got like...
Yeah. I think that in my head, I feel like the 3-year mark is where we're going to see something happen, possibly, because that's when we're getting Pixar. And it feels to me like if we call the first chapter the core set, it feels to me like we're going to get a new core set when Pixar comes in. And we may get a bunch of cards that repeat what first chapter cards did.
I think if they eventually go to formats, that's almost required, because there's going to be cards that... So you can go about 2 ways. You can reprint cards, or you can do what Magic does as well, and they do both, oddly enough. They'll reprint cards, but they'll also effectively reprint cards, but with a new name. So it's the exact same functional card. It's just got a new name on it. Which then you can have both if you really want to. So you can't make too powerful cards. Those are usually like common staples, like draft staples, where they'll just reprint them with a new name.
Like we've been getting a billion 1/2/2 goons.
Yeah.
A bunch of different characters.
I think like Dragonfire, stuff like that. Like a card that's like almost, not necessary, but like a really vital piece in draft. Of course, I've got to bring it back to draft. In limited. But you don't necessarily want to just reprint Dragonfire, every set. So, from time to time, print that or something like that. Kind of go through the removals in the different sets and have at least one piece of decent removal in every set, I think would be useful. So you don't end up with a draft like this set, which is just like, there's just no removal. It doesn't exist because they're like, we printed everything functionally that is removable. It's like, so then just start reprinting. I want to talk about the rollout a little bit because, James, you touched on this. Benny, how do you feel about the rollout, the fact that it was immediate? Well, I guess two things. One, how it was announced. And then two, the fact that it was an immediate effect versus Bucky, where they they're like, hey, you got, I think it was, 2 weeks notice or something like that they gave us before the errata took place? How are you feeling about that?
Like, after a set championship as well?
Yeah, as set, but before Toronto. So Toronto was affected by the errata, but yeah.
Yeah. I thought that the rollout was kind of too quick. Like, I kind of prefer when there's a little bit of time for people to, I don't know, if they have a tournament that they're going to, because I did hear a lot of people saying, like, they were on their way to a tournament on the weekend, and now their deck is completely needing to get changed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for some people, it's not a huge overhaul. For others, it is more of an overhaul. But yeah, I felt like there could have been a little bit of a heads up beforehand because people do have things going on. There's not just an abundance of DLCs going on. And yeah, I feel like what they could have done is they could have just let people know ahead of time and then
give it like a 2 week like Bucky.
Yeah.
So this is where I wonder if it's indicative of their not really, I don't know if it's thinking about or caring about non-DLC, non-set chance, non-Ravensburger affiliated tournaments, like third-party events. And I say not care, not like they're like dismissive of it, but just like it's not gonna move the needle for them in terms of their rollout of things. Any thoughts on that, either of you?
Absolutely. I don't think they move the needle at all. I think the only place that they do is what Steve mentioned, is that they pay attention to them for results to see what is in the meta, what's shaping up, how people feel coming out of them. They pay attention to those things, but they're not going to use them to delay or time messages.
Yeah.
As we can see, what they will use, like you mentioned, is their own events. Like they did make sure Bucky was gone before Toronto or whatever it was. And that's what they did here. They're like, we have to get this ban in place now because set champs start in 3 weeks. And we want, and we want to make sure people have time, to get their deck set for set champs.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. So
there you go. All right.
I mean, as for do I agree with it? I think I've said
that was
multiple
kind of what
times.
I was getting at.
I think I've said multiple times I'm not a huge fan of bans, but I do understand that something kind of needed to change with the meta that was going on. But at the same time, like a lot of these tournaments were like 100 people. Like we didn't have the 1,000 people DLC where 50% of them were, Sapphire Steel or Emerald Sapphire, or not Emerald. Geez, I wish. Sapphire
dominating
Ruby.
the
meta. They would have been though. Even if in some of the smaller tournaments, even if people were bringing other decks to see what could happen, a majority of people were like seeing how much it was winning, and like entire top eights being something Sapphire, Steel, or Ruby. When that happens, you know that if a DLC was on the horizon, that well over 50% of the decks would have been that, because it's just the winning deck.
Yeah.
You just got to have that path through to be, hopefully you're the one winning on those mirrors.
Yeah.
And I think kind of part of the thing to do with that also, though, is, and I'm not trying to shoot shots at anyone here, but when you've got a lot of like the top competitors out there right now, like when you've got like the Zans and these other guys, Moyen and people like that, but I just kind of want to go with Zan right off the bat. When you have them coming out and saying like, this is the best deck in the game, and they've got a good follower base, next thing you know, you've got people that have never played it before going,
them. Yeah,
that's the deck!
Yeah. When you go 50-0 with a deck. Sorry, Zan. I love you. I'm on your metaphor. You're great. Had to needle that. Not that Zan's watching this, of course. But anyways. But yeah, it pulls people. Yeah, certainly. Yeah. When you see prominent players playing decks, I mean, James and I were both on Kendall's Metafy for Ruby Amethyst.
Yeah.
Before
and even Kendall went to Blue Steel.
Yeah, I know. For me, that was the one. When he went to Blue Steel, I'm like, oh, he's like a lifelong Ruby Am player. And
right after the Nationals, soon after, I think he went to a big tournament and played Amethyst Steel, and I'm like, oh, he's cheating on Ruby. And then they're like, no, he just got rid of it entirely, went to Blue Steel.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't like bans, but I think, yes, for the state of the meta, I think it had played out long enough now, especially since James is reminding me that time passes and set champs are 3 weeks away, that it's probably been long enough that, for the sake of the meta, they had to do something. And
it felt like something was coming, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And rightfully so. Which kind of leads to my next question. Beyond what we've discussed here, what are you hearing around the community? What are you hearing around the water cooler, as it were, the digital water cooler, in terms of the response to it? Because for me, I've seen a lot of positive response. Like, yes, grief in the short term, but since then, in the last few days, really kind of, the meta's opening back up in a big way now.
Lots of, like you said, lots of grief, lots of people that are very sad about their deck getting kneecapped. But also lots of fear that Diablo discard would take over the meta.
Yeah.
And honestly, though, I think after this weekend, we saw that the meta really did just open back open. We had so many different decks topping small to big tournaments. We had DKP winning with Ruby Sapphire again.
The burn build, his Melbourne build, yeah. I mean, not the same
130 player tournament, and the other top four were 2 Ruby Amethyst and an Emerald Steel.
Yeah.
We had other in I can't remember where the store is, but the Forbidden Mountains stream of the Encounter games was an all Amethyst top 4 with Amethyst Steel mirror match.
Yeah.
The top game. And so we have a lot of different stuff happening. So I think the meta just broke wide open again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're just trying to figure it out.
With DKP.
Weeks. Yeah.
With DKP taking that tournament, I said he's got to change that deck name. It should be No Hiram, No Problem.
Yeah. I mean, he was already cutting Hiram in Melbourne, right? He was down. Yeah. Which didn't seem possible until DKP pulled that.
I think he said he felt like he had to put it in there.
Yeah, he felt compelled to.
Yeah. Because it's just
community is just going to be mad.
Yeah, right? There will be riots in the streets if I don't have Hiram in here. So, yeah, definitely the grief. And I think for me, the one that stood out the most was Sailor. Specifically on Twitter, Sailor kind of calling out, and I think rightfully so, like, don't lessen people's grief. They've been, yes, this is a game, we get it, but, you get attached to these things, especially if you're the type of player that plays, the same deck all the time, right? For me, I'm, ADHD to the max, get bored, move on to another one. So I don't have those same attachments, but I certainly value those that do. So I think that's reasonable for sure.
I think I've played pretty much every single deck combination color in the last year.
Yeah.
That's it might have been only 1 week just for goofs one time, but I've done it because I'm same. I'm not necessarily beholden to any one color color pairing. I just like playing the game, so I'll just play whatever.
Yeah.
I'm still playing Emerald Steel.
Yeah.
And I've only changed 2 cards out of my deck.
Man. It's funny. You'll play either the most crazy off-meta deck, or you'll play Emerald Steel discard.
I like my opponents not being able to play things. Now, I've also been called the worst Emerald Steel player because I have missed, in a game, I have missed over 15 card draws.
Oh, gosh.
With my Diablo sitting on the board.
That was the thing I was so proud of in Seattle, was that I didn't miss a single trigger. I had it, like, ingrained in my brain. Like, for Beast, it was ready, set, draw.
Yeah.
Set phase. For Diablo, it was, like, practically okay. As soon as I go to, like, flip over my ink for the end of my turn, the next movement of my hand is to the top of my deck to, like, hold it there while I watch my opponent.
Why is my hand going here all the time of its own? I was like, oh, yeah, I have to draw when they draw.
I think the hardest one was Prince John, because that one's so arbitrary, right? Beast and Diablo
sometimes,
are kind of...
Sometimes I find that I do the Diablo thing, and then I'm like, all right, yeah, go ahead. And then, like, as I'm, like, making sure that I didn't mess up, my opponent, like, draws, and then they, like, play a card immediately, and I'm like, oh, I see what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah. One thing that I will say about the meta, at least initial observations, obviously this can shift, it's been 1 week, but I would say in the spectrum of aggro to control, whereas I feel like outside of this craziness, which has been so unilateral, but I would say over the last few sets, that the meta overall always felt like it was slightly on the control side of mid-range. I feel like overall, at the end of the last set, and now into this current meta, I feel like we're shifting towards the more aggressive end of mid-range. I don't think aggro decks are the dominant ones yet, but I think in terms of the spectrum of mid-range being more aggro versus control, I feel like between the Amethyst Steel decks, I feel like between the Burn DKP style deck for Ruby Sapphire, and even a lot of Ruby Am builds, I feel like are shifting more towards the aggressive side of this mid-range strategy. Is that kind of aligned with what you're seeing?
I think so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anything from not hyper aggro, but just aggro to mid range, I think, is where we're sitting in a lot of decks.
Yeah.
With control taking third place, straight control.
Yeah.
Taking third place.
Which
go ahead. I've seen just a bunch of different decks coming out lately. I'm like, oh, cool. This guy's going back to playing Emerald Amethyst. This guy's trying out Chernodogs. This guy's trying to go back to Steel Song. Awesome. It's kind of cool. Where a lot of people, I was like, somebody's going to be throwing down a Maui Shark in a bunch of songs, and then I'm sure there's going to be a Tamatoa or something coming out at some point here.
Yeah.
So I actually, in our store, there was actually very little Sapphire comparatively to big tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
We had a few people playing it, some of them who normally do. Like there's been one guy who's been on Ruby Sapphire the entire time. He even made it to top 32 in Vegas. So he's devastated, of course. But we had a few people that were playing it because it was new. But I think I only played against a Blue Steel or a Ruby Sapphire. Did I play any? I don't think I even played once. Three times I played Sapphire in 3 weeks. It was a lot of Amethyst Steel. Also Green Purple, which I was playing. I was playing the new Amethyst Emerald discard deck with the nothing but Diablo's deck, basically.
All the burbs, as Knive would say.
And I was actually doing fairly well into almost everything. I think over the 3 weeks I was like 9-2. So it was a fun deck, and I'm probably going to change it up this week now that the Sapphire's gone, because everyone else is going to be expecting all of these things. So I'm like, I got to play something different now.
Yeah, I'm juggling like 3 different decks.
What do you lean towards, Benny? I mean, it sounds like Emerald Steel, but other than that,
Emerald Steel, Emerald Sapphire, and Steel Song have been the three that I'm kind of. And guess what? Two of those will probably still use a Diablo.
I mean, rightfully so. Even with everything taking it out, it's still a very good card, right?
Yeah.
I think the fact that there's a second viable Diablo to shift onto, specifically in obviously green purple, I think is a real asset. Yeah.
Plus the card draw you get from it if you don't
I guess
get to shift
three.
it.
Sorry, I forgot about the 0 one. There's three viable.
Interesting that new Duel Link Diablo in the Emerald Amethyst build is the only new card.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me that that's all it took, because honestly, and that thing and I don't want to shift on that one because it's such a good challenging card. So it's like, why wasn't that Emerald Sapphire discard build something? It's like, well, because Emerald Steel was still so good. Yeah. Why would you want to play this one? You would want to play the tempo or the aggro version instead. It's just interesting to me that this came about because of the blue steel and ruby sapphire meta that was so dominant. We're like, we have to figure out a way to discard them, but without doing the things that Emerald Steel does.
Yeah.
All
right.
That Cricky though, man. That Cricky, I love
that. Yeah.
Cricky is so good.
He is. Especially with the 0-1 Diablos. Anything that has like Crab and Cricky with 0-1 Diablos just makes me so happy. Like, I get to take out your character and I get to draw a card? All right.
Thanks for the free card.
Right? So this is kind of leading into set champs then. What are we thinking is going to lead the way? Obviously, we've got a small sample size so far. But what's your initial instincts in terms of... so, Benny, are you thinking Green Steel is going to be the top of the pack? Like, I would say, like, what do you think are, like, the top 2 or 3 decks going to shape up to be?
Emerald Steel and Steel Song.
Steel Song, now we're talking about DDH, Diggy Hole Steel Song, or are we talking classic Steel Song?
I don't know. I feel like there's some sort of hybrid in there. Because, I mean, if you think about it, Steel Song is the one thing that kind of messes with Emerald Steel. And Emerald Steel is the deck that everybody hated last set. So...
yeah.
It's a little bit of fire and ice right there, because I know as soon as I throw down a Diablo, and then somebody goes, oh, okay, that's cool. Well, I already threw down a Cinderella, so you're about to lose your Diablo. Enjoy. It's kind of like, oh, well, I don't want to shift my Diablo anymore. So, I don't know. Then also, the Amethyst Emerald over there getting the, you get rid of my Diablo? Well, I'm still going to get a card, so thanks.
You're talking about the 0-1, yeah. Yeah, Cinderella's always going to be a nuisance. This is where I actually appreciated Belle for the, like, foil to turn 1 Cindy, but obviously she was using her powers for evil and not for good, so what can you do? James, what do you think is going to shape up to be the top of the metagame?
I think we're back into a wide open meta with 5 or 6 decks that can take it, depending on your local meta. I think that Amethyst Steel is a very strong deck now, and anyone who knows how to pilot that correctly is likely going to get a top 8 no matter what. I think that Ruby Amethyst is on the way back, obviously, with 2 of them in the top 4 in the 130 person. Yeah. It's a completely new kind of build, and I'm interested to see what that can do. Ruby Sapphire didn't go anywhere. I mean, it's not the same build, but someone's going to try and figure something out.
Yeah.
And maybe not the whole full-on DKP version, but also not the old item version either. Yeah. The Blue Steel Kiwi, I think, is a very strong deck in set champs because it can just win fast. You get your curve, and there's not a lot that people can do to stop you.
Harlan would be very happy to hear you say that.
Emerald Amethyst, like I mentioned, was playing very well in my local meta. I don't know how well it's doing. I don't see it in many tops, but I see it in some top 8s. You get a good run, and I think you can win with that. Steel Song for sure. Yeah, both versions I think are both still really powerful. Yeah. I was looking at, if you go on Ink Decks, they have that Win Matrix, Have you guys taken a look at that?
Oh yeah, I look at that all the time. I mean, I haven't looked at that since the ban, because all I saw was the like 55% plus of Sapphire, Ruby Sapphire and Sapphire
they have
Steel.
a button to remove decks that contain banned cards.
Oh,
So
wow.
look at the meta now, the Matrix meta with that. And if you're looking at that, every deck has like a significant weakness. So like, there's the triangle of Ruby Amethyst and Steel Song and Emerald Steel, not even quadrangle. And all of those, they all lose to something else of one of those 3 or 4 decks. They all lose one of those. So you can't pick a deck and go like, look, you might be able to pick a deck and say, look, my local meta is heavy on Steel Song and Amethyst Steel. Which one beats those 2?
Yeah.
And be able to play that.
Yeah.
The problem is, of course, you have 3 weeks to build it and practice it and get good at it, because that's what we're doing now is we're trying to figure out what you can play. So hopefully it's a deck that you've had practice on over the last year or so.
And this is where I think, for me, just psychology-wise, or just kind of human nature-wise, I think it's pretty easy to say that the top decks that are going to be the top decks for the foreseeable future, because we're given such little time between now and set champs that I think a lot of people are just going to revert back to what they're comfortable with. I know one person, particularly in the Vancouver group, that has been waiting. I mean, I guess 2. One that's been waiting for Diggy Diggy Hole to be meta again. And I think, given this avenue, is just going to race right back to it. And I think, you commented yourself, James, that you weren't seeing a huge shift to Sapphire, and neither were Benny or I in our locals. So I think, some, for sure, but not a lot. So I think people were already playing what they were comfortable with, and this is just going to really root people back in what they're comfortable with. So I think, based on where we were at the end of last set, that for me, it's Emerald Steel, not necessarily first. Emerald Steel, I would probably place as maybe even third. I would probably place, James, what you mentioned, which was Amethyst Steel, as number 1. I would probably place Ruby Sapphire as number 2, and I would probably place Emerald Steel as number 3. I'm not as confident in the Amethyst, or in the Amber Steel, whether you want to call it Digga Digga Hole or Steel Song or whatever. I would probably put that in the top 5. But I don't know that I'm confident that it is as competitive. I think, some people saw some great success with it, and it's a very good deck. But as you say, everything can win on any given Sunday. Anything can win. But I think you're going to see those 3 decks kind of filter to the top a little bit.
And of course, what you'll see is what I've noticed at set champs now is, I mean, half the people are bringing what they think is going to be fighting the meta or what they're really good at.
Yeah.
And the other half of people are just bringing aggro just to see if they can get through fast.
Yeah.
That's true.
Sorry, go ahead, Benny.
I was going to say, it's not really a triangle anymore because there's so many different decks that we had. It's more of becoming like an octagon where it's like, this corner is good against this corner, but this guy's going to take out this guy real quick.
100%.
I could not align that matrix to be like, okay, which one gets like 3 decks?
The most,
There's nothing that hits like 3 decks, and you're like, come on, give me something that's like against more than 2.
And this is where James,
there was a pen and a pad.
I think like, you hit the nail on the head. Play what you practice with, because ultimately, this is what I love when people try to game the meta. Very, very few of us, if any of us, are the GOAT. Right? It's really hard to game the meta. You don't know what your matchups are going to be. And your deck is probably only really good inherently against 1 or 2 other decks, which the likelihood that you're going to see it might not be that high. So instead, rely on your proficiency with the deck and playing the deck well, and you can probably then win matchups that you might not be that favored against, rather than play a deck that you think is going to do well. Or play a deck that you enjoy as well. This should be another part of the equation. That's why I played... Not that I necessarily enjoy it, but that's why I played Blurple last. It was just for laughs. I played Blurple the last set champs because I'm just like, you know what? This is a deck I've ragged on so many times. I'm just going to play it because I feel like making a crazy shift. So whatever reason or justification, I would say err on the side of maybe not trying to game the meta because you're probably not going to roll the dice very well.
You hear that, Benny?
And to everybody who's local to my area, just play what's bad against Emerald Steel, obviously, because I'm not going to play it.
No,
I'm not going to play
never.
it. I haven't
you
gotten most of my
advertise your
practice.
deck.
Look, we all know Benny. We all know that there is actually about a 50% chance he won't play Emerald Steel.
I'm going to make a whole new deck, baby.
Like, oh, wait, I got inspiration at 2 a.m. the night before set champs. So I'm going to build a deck for the next 3 hours and then get 2 hours of sleep and then let's go.
You know what I'm going to do this time? This time around, just before, also, shout out Tomb Keeper Games and Mission. Tomb Keeper cards, sorry. I just want you guys to know, just before I go there on May 4th, I'm going to turn on a nice little Disney flick, and I'm going to hear a whole new world. And I'm going to, that's it, a whole new deck. Here we go.
I thought you were going to say, okay, I got to play Steel Song. This is the sign.
I thought we were going to Star Wars because it's May the 4th be with you.
Oh, I told them they have to play Star Wars on the TV while I'm there.
So here's what you do: the day before set champs, or the night before, 2 a.m. You do like Disney Plus roulette, and just like hold down on the like classic Walt Disney cartoons, and let go at some point. And whatever movie you land on, make sure that your deck involves cards from those, and you're good.
So just make sure I land on Sleeping Beauty.
Right.
I wish they had a random or a pick me a movie on Disney Plus. That'd make my life so much easier.
James, are you willing to go on record of what you're leaning towards, or do you like to keep it low key? Because no shame in that.
I have no clue who's listening in my locals, but yeah, I probably
no one, James. Trust me. No.
Get him, Eric. Get him, Eric.
Yeah, Eric and I will be playing the same deck this week.
I was going to say, they're usually play testing partners, so I don't think that's the problem.
No, we'll be playing the same thing this week. We tried it last week and Eric hated the green purple discard deck.
Oh, did he?
He's like, this is not my jam.
Yeah.
It didn't help that I beat him.
This can't be the right deck for me. I lost.
If I lost to James? What?
So is that where you're leaning at least right now? Obviously, that can change the next 3 weeks.
I'll go back to that, but I'm thinking I want to do something else because it's such a grind in the Amethyst Steel. It is such a grind. It is. Yeah. I think I went 3-0 against Amethyst Steel players 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
that was brain numbing in how I had to try and do that, and all of them went like 2-1, and every game went up near time. And it was just like this deck. I was like fighting uphill the whole way. Yeah. So I need something that's a little better into Amethyst Steel because there's enough of it locally, and what many consider to be the best player at our store plays it.
Yeah.
And so I got to make sure that I have something that I am used to, that I get enough practice in, and also I think has close to a 50% win rate against Amethyst Steel.
Yeah.
If not. So. We'll see.
I was going to say, haven't you had a lot of success yourself in playing Amethyst Steel?
Yeah. So I might play that.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you can't beat him, join him.
Right? No, that was on our we were watching the Encounter event very closely with the decks that were winning there, and I want to get some of their deck lists and take a look at them.
Yeah.
I really like the Amethyst Steel version that is fast, but has tools, has bite. You know, I don't like the super hyper aggro. I don't like the full on mid range, but I definitely like the fast version with bite.
Yeah,
and I want to see that. But also, I saw this really cool. Someone on Twitter had this really cool blue green deck that I'm like, I really want those colors to work. I really do.
That's the one, baby. Mufasa.
No. No, it's still.
See what I have to put up with, James.
I know it's still all Clarabelle. It's still all you have to. Yeah. It's basically the card draws.
It's all about that count.
Hey, you know what? I had it go off for me twice.
Just wait till there's a better shift target for Clarabelle.
Yeah. I mean, we got two okay ones, but
they're both fine. Like there's a reason why the deck works. They're both serviceable, but like especially the one drop, especially now, isn't particularly useful.
But what I'm seeing is that one that came in late last set at the LCQ with the whole Peter Pan lockdown with bend to my will and all of that.
Yeah.
But add in, you do keep the Peter Pan in there, but you need to make an evasive, and that's what the new Emerald Coil is very good at. And the new Kita, which if you get enough of those out, if you get
the new Kita, the only Kita I'm thinking of is the Exert one. Yeah.
Exert.
Sapphire Kita.
Oh, to make her evasive. I was trying to think. I was thinking like she doesn't make anything evasive.
She will because she inks on her Exert ability.
Oh, that's what you're saying. So use her to provide ink to trigger the coil.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And if you this deck I
that
saw
sounds like a lot going on.
It does, but basically it's just stages of once you don't really need the evasive coil until you have enough ink to make your Peter Pan evasive.
Yeah.
And you just ramp like normal until you get there and hope your Clarabelle helps keeping your hand full.
Making Peter Pan evasive is big game. That's true.
Yeah. Exactly. So things like that, but if you want to see it, I can show it to you, Benny, so you can change to it right before set champs.
That's why I was sitting here thinking he's planted the seed now. It's buried in there. Back to the old Baja Blast.
I've got that down here. I that was gonna be the deck I was gonna play if I'd done another set champs last season, was play that just for giggles. So maybe I'll
How many decks do you guys normally have built ready to go at League?
0 if you want to count official builds, because I proxy a lot. I'll proxy until I've zeroed in on a deck, and then I'll buy the cards for that deck, because I don't have the collections of like.
I am. I don't know, Benny. Do you buy everything? Get play sets?
Oh, Benny's got.
Hold on. Stay right there.
Yeah. I thought so, but I know I also heard him mention.
I'm glad he's wearing pants, by the way.
Gets up, no pants.
That's going on the show. I'm going to record it and put it out there. Or I am recording it. You can't control it. It's out there. Yeah.
I see some blanks there, buddy. What's going on?
He's working on it.
I don't buy singles, so I get all my cards from back.
And Heath keeps forgetting to look at his list of needed cards and help him fill it.
Yeah. Actually, that's probably the only time I buy singles is from locals. So
yeah. There's a guy locally who has recently been opening each set. He opens 5 to 7 cases, and so basically I just get my singles from him at some point when I've opened enough. I only open like 2 boxes and a few troves, and then here and there, winning packs and whatnot. So I'll buy the rest. Now I'm missing maybe 25 or 30 cards for play sets of everything in this set. And
I'm still missing Maui Sharks.
Goodness, man. I had to buy those.
Those are rough. Jared was giving me grief about that because I told him, wait till after set champs and cards usually go down. He's like, why is it Maui Shark going down? I'm like, that's one card. That's like the most valuable card of the game.
Because it's good.
So it was at 30, 35. It jumped after DKP's win in Melbourne to 50. I picked him up for 35, thankfully, and now it's at 45 still.
Yeah.
Oh, no. What have I done?
Yeah. So it's like,
just don't play Ruby for set champs and you're fine.
Yeah, right?
All right. Well, we'll talk about, I'm sure as we lead into set champs, we'll talk more about it in the following weeks, but let's
Speaking of,
take it home.
Speaking of opening packs.
You don't have time for 4. You get to open 1.
He's showing me up. I only got 2.
You each get to open 1.
I bought this one from one store and this one from another and this one from another, and I'm going to make them battle. Whichever pack has the best pack, that's where I'm buying my next box.
Oh, okay then.
Wow. This one is one that I got for going and playing.
Yeah.
This is the one I got for doing okay.
Moderately well.
I was like...
I mean, it's got to be the moderately well one, right?
I don't remember. They're both Mad Hatter, so I don't remember which one's which.
All right. This is the Toys R Us pack.
I would say he saying he went to Toys R Us and got a bunch of the promo Lilo boxes, the gift sets. I'm like, you remember set 1 when we were like going to Toys R Us or whatever your local retail store was, trying to find one booster pack, like
one pack.
Target. There's Target. The US equivalent. Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, just give me one pack, man.
Yeah, we got Scar, or sorry,
Benny's
Shere
not gonna
Khan.
see that
Whoa.
one. He was looking down. He won't see that till after.
That's Shere Khan.
Shere Khan, Maribel, and a Drizella foil. Sorry, Toys R Us, you're not getting my business.
Hey, now we were drafting still. I know we're short on time, but I want to know what the best draft card is now. You make a guess.
Okay.
You make an educated guess. Look at the cards and tell me which one you think is.
Okay, which one do I think's the best?
Yeah. And then just fan him out, and I'll tell you if you're wrong. See, James is actually a fellow limited aficionado, so I can't claim sole ownership of that in this group now. All right. You're taking too long, Benny. We're on to James's. You keep thinking about that, James. Let's roll. How to do this without completely messing with all your cables.
Everything around here.
Yeah.
All right. So we got Tekov, the common one. These are all the commons here. We've got Hiro Hamada, whoever this is.
Candlehead, yeah.
Zoom.
It's all right. We get the gist.
Mulan, the good Mulan.
Yes.
One drop. Got the pet puppies that don't work. Cybug, great and limited.
Yep. Agreed.
We've got this. Who is this? The Tweedles.
Tweedles. Yep.
And then we've got this guy, this old guy, Farmer. Who knows what he is? Cook? I don't know. Here we go. Giant Cobra.
Okay.
Cobra.
Yep.
And then we got the Aladdin. Yeah. And then the Mirror.
Hey! It's the same Mirability.
And the Tweedles again.
All right, what's your pick in that pack? Pick one pack one there, James. I think we might have the same mindset on this one.
I'm pretty sure that I am picking, I don't know, I'm probably picking the Cybug or the Cobra.
I'm on the Cobras, 100%. Cybug, I mean, it's hard to find a good 2 in this set, so that's a fair point, but I think the Cobra's too good.
And then depending on one drops, the Mulan would be my third choice.
Yeah, I dig that too. I like the Tweedles as well, but I think there's a lot of really good 4s and 5s, so fill out your lower end first. Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Those are your 2?
Yeah.
I know where I'm at between those.
Let me see him again.
Yzma.
It was basically Kuzco and the Phantom Blot were his top 2.
So we got Yzma, Canine Crunchies,
I'd go
Stavington Brothers.
I love those little rush guys.
Yzma, Cat, Pepper, Bolt, Sven.
Oh, you sandbag Sven. Phantom Blot.
Phantom Blot, Cusco.
Yeah.
And by the way, I opened up another pack. This is the Bastion pack. Perdita.
Yeah.
And Heath, it happened again.
She's everywhere.
Maribel is in every pack.
Yeah. Why? Why? Why am I hated? And then just a Maurice foil.
Okay. So you're on the Phantom Blot. So I actually really like the Phantom Blot.
Ben would be right there too.
The issue I have with the Phantom Blot is a lot less in this format are playing 1 and 2 drops. So you're not rushing in often on turn 2. It tends to come down as just a 2-cost 3/1. So I think I'm probably more inclined to look at Cusco there, but there's so many good 4 drops that I rarely end up wanting to play Cusco. But also Sven might be. Actually, Sven's inkable, so I might go Sven.
Yeah.
In that pack. All right. Want to wrap things up with a moment of gratitude. I'm trying to make this a thing. We'll see if it sticks. I may be known for starting things that I don't finish. We'll see. I don't want to put you on the spot, but in case you have something that you wanted to shout out, James, I want to give you the opportunity since it's your first time on the show. Is there anything that you've experienced either in your local community, in the online community, where there's either an individual, not necessarily naming names, but just an individual or group or whatever that you want to shout out as just kind of a nice feel-good story from Lorcana? Something to cheer us all up in what has been these moments of darkness up until now.
I don't know. Honestly, the only thing that's been really cool that's happened recently is there's a new father-son showing up at locals, where the son I think is around 10.
Nice.
And it's his weekly. You get to pick what we're doing tonight for dad and son night, and the son is like, "We're going to go play Lorcana." So they've been showing up. So this week they've shown up for 2 weeks now, and I talked to them last week, and I'm like, "You guys need cards?" And they're like, "Yeah, of course. Like we need to fill in our decks because we just started playing recently."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "All right, here comes some bulk."
Yeah.
So I'm gonna help them fill in some decks tomorrow night, take some bulk to them. But it's just nice seeing new players still continue. We've gotten new players, at least 1 or 2 new players once a month, like all the time. Like we're always getting new. Now some drop off, of course, but we're always getting new players, which is really nice.
Yeah, I think that is great, especially younger players, right? Like, some people will speak derogatorily about this being a kid's game, and others will say that it's not a kid's game. And whether it is or it isn't, it's a game for everyone, as far as I'm concerned. And so I love to see more people from all different walks of life, age groups, demographics, whatever, enjoying it. So that's a great story. I love that one. You were like, oh, that's not much of a thing. That's great. Love that. Thank you for sharing that, James. So we'll try, I think we'll stick to 1 a week. Let's not drag it out too much. Let's do 1 a week, and also that'll free us up to actually have some good stories. But also, anyone out there, if you've got one that you want to share, someone that you want to shout out, feel free to let us know in the comments, let us know on the Discord. We'd love to just be able to share your story on your behalf. So, moment of gratitude. Take it home, Benny.
Well, I do want to let you know also, I opened up the all the other packs, and Tomb Keeper cards.
They burn a hole in his pocket. He can't help himself.
Tomb Keeper cards is getting the business, man. They're the only ones I pulled a legendary from.
There you go.
I threw that in my Emerald Amethyst for a week, and it did not see play at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make play sets at this point, whether I play them or not ever. But anyways, thank you for tuning in and joining us on this magical journey. Thank you, James, for coming on as one of our newest long-term co-hosts. Just like Heath, we've locked you both in now. Welcome to Overexerted.
I'm indentured now. Let's not get it ahead of ourselves.
And thank you for joining us, and we hope you'll join us again soon. Have a great week, and enjoy your locals and set champions with this new meta out there.
Fresh new meta.
Yay!
Bye, everyone.